Good evening, welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Akansha Parimu. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Friday, the 6th of July. Bhutanese Prime Minister meets Indian counterpart in New Delhi to boost bilateral ties. Pakistan's ousted Premier Nawaz Sharif sentenced to 10 years in prison. And Buddhists mark 83rd birthday of Dalai Lama. And now for all the details. Bhutanese Prime Minister Sherring Tobgay met his Indian counterpart Narendra Modi in Indian capital New Delhi on Friday. Both the leaders held discussions to further boost bilateral cooperation between their nations.
Bhutanese Prime Minister Sherring Tobgay on Friday met his Indian counterpart Narendra Modi in New Delhi. Both the leaders held delegation-level talks to further strengthen cooperation in development partnership. The details of the meeting were, however, not immediately known. The Bhutanese leader, who is on a 3-day visit to India, met India's Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj on Thursday. The two leaders held discussions on taking the relationship between their countries to new heights during the Golden Jubilee year of establishment of diplomatic ties. Diplomatic relations between India and Bhutan were established in 1968 and have been sustained by regular high-level visits and dialogues between the two. India is Bhutan's largest trading partner.
In news from Pakistan, Pakistan's ousted Premier Nawaz Sharif was sentenced to 10 years in prison on Friday in the Avonfield Properties reference, while his daughter Maryam Nawaz was sentenced to 7 years. An accountability court in Islamabad had started hearing the corruption case filed by the National Accountability Bureau against the Sharif family in September.
Pakistan's former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif was sentenced to 10 years in prison on Friday in the Avonfield Properties reference, while his daughter Maryam Nawaz was sentenced to 7 years. Meanwhile, Sharif's son-in-law, retired Captain Mohammad Safdar, was given a 1-year sentence. The former Prime Minister and his daughter were not present in the country during the hearing on Friday, citing his wife Begum Kulsoom's ill health. Sharif and his family members have been facing a total of 3 corruption references, accused of money laundering, tax evasion, and hiding offshore assets. An accountability court in Islamabad had started hearing the cases filed by the National Accountability Bureau or NAB in September. Sharif, Maryam, and Safdar were indicted in the Avonfield Properties case in October 2017. Following the verdict, Maryam and Safdar stand barred from contesting the July 25th general election.
More on news from Pakistan. Altaf Hussain, the founder of Muttahida Qawmi movement, has blamed that Pakistani army generals are manipulating the July 25th general elections. He accused the military establishment is involved in political engineering to impose a favorite political party in the country.
Muttahida Qawmi Movement or MQM founder Altaf Hussain has criticized the Pakistani army for its devious plans in manipulating the general elections slated to be held on July 25th. While addressing an event in London, the exiled leader said these are not general elections but general elections. He blamed the military establishment is doing political engineering so that it could impose a favorite political party over the country.
Election conducted by army generals and results would be prepared under the supervision of army generals and army officers, not by the civilians. We don't accept these elections. That is why we boycotted the election. Why?
Election time is always tense in Pakistan, which has been ruled by the military for almost half of the 70 years since independence. There's always remains a fear that the election is being engineered by the Pakistan's much-feared military and intelligence agencies, along with some of the senior civil servants and judges. The military has repeatedly denied that it interferes in modern-day politics.
In news from Afghanistan, The peace convoy holding sit-in protest for peace amid conflict in Afghanistan has sent a letter to American people calling them for help to end the war in their country. The peace activists have held a sit-in protest outside the US Embassy for the past 10 days and now plan to move to the Russian Embassy.
Members of the Helmand Peace Convoy in Afghanistan have called on the American people to put pressure on the US government to end the war in their country. The peace activists said in a letter to Americans that they are calling for help as part of their peace efforts. The convoy has also decided to form a committee with the support of the people to visit their areas under Taliban control in order to encourage them to join the peace process.
د یونمال دفتر څخه را شروع شوه او دا د امریکا د سفارت مخ ته اوس را رسیدلی یو چې له دې وروسته به سبا انشاءالله د روسیې د سفارت مخ ته ولاړ سو.
Among the key demands of activists are sealing a permanent ceasefire among the warring parties, specifying an address for peace talks and establishment of a peaceful government based on Islamic values. The activists have held a sit-in protest outside the US Embassy for the past 10 days and will now move to the Russian Embassy. The convoy first began its protest in Afghanistan's Helmand province.
Moving on to news from Nepal, the Indian Embassy in Kathmandu has confirmed that the evacuation of the pilgrims of Kailash Manasarovar pilgrimage in Nepal is almost over and that everything is in total control. On Thursday, the Foreign Ministry announced that 883 stranded pilgrims were evacuated from Simikot to Surkhet and Nepalganj in the last 3 days. A number of pilgrims were stranded in parts of Nepal following a heavy downpour in the last few days. The annual Hindu pilgrimage of Kailash Manasarovar is undertaken each year between June and September, with thousands of devotees taking part in the treacherous route that crosses territorial boundaries of India, China and Nepal. Buddhists across India marked the 83rd birthday anniversary of their spiritual leader, Dalai Lama, on Friday. The devotees gathered in huge numbers in monasteries to pray for his long life.
Buddhists across India celebrated the 83rd birthday of their spiritual leader, the 14th Dalai Lama, on Friday. Many, including the staff members of the Central Tibetan Administration, thronged the Lakyari Temple in India's hill town of Dharamshala and offered special prayers for Dalai Lama's long life. The 14th Dalai Lama of Tibet was born on July 6 in 1935 in a small farming village of Thakstar in northeastern Tibet.
Today, this huge gathering is to celebrate and commemorate the birthday of His Holiness, 83rd birthday. And it's the most special day of every peace-loving nation, not only for the Tibetans.
Meanwhile, similar scenes were witnessed in India's northeastern Siliguri city, where Buddhists offered special prayers on the occasion and celebrated their spiritual leader's birthday by cutting a cake. The Dalai Lama is revered as living God by his followers. His sermons on ethics, non-violence, peace and religious harmony have made him one of the 20th century's most revered spiritual leaders.
India is on the path of becoming a hub of medical tourism, with specialized doctors, low-cost treatment and e-medical visa facilities. It has become one of the most preferred medical tourism destinations in Asia.
A 58-year-old Anyufik guy from Cameroon came with a history of stroke leading to left hemiplegia. On advice of a friend, he came to India for an advanced neuro-rehabilitation.
The first time I go out of my country for treatment, it is good. Everything is good. The equipment, the doctors are professional.
Technologically advanced hospitals, specialized doctors, low-cost treatments and e-medical visa facilities have contributed to help India become one of the fastest-growing medical tourism destinations in Asia.
According to FICCI IMS report, over 500,000 foreign patients seek treatment in India each year. They mostly come to India for heart surgery, knee transplant, cosmetic surgery and dental care, as the treatment cost in India is considered lowest in Asia.
Patients who come in from the Western world, where you have an NHS kind of model, for example, in the UK, there is a lot of waiting period. So we find that in patients from UK, from the Canadian agencies as well, that they have to wait a long time. So they tend to come for that. Secondly, a large number of countries don't have the kind of services that we can provide because they don't have the infrastructure for this thing.
India currently has around 18% of the global medical tourism's market. In an estimate, it can be a $9 billion worth US medical tourism destination by having 20% global market share by 2020. A large number of patients in India come from South Asia, Africa and CIS countries.
All the NABH approved hospitals have now put up their charges and the list and all the facilities which they are giving. It is visible on the website. So it's a very transparent thing. Any patient who is coming to India can go on that site and understand what are the kind of facilities being offered at what price. So they can choose where to go and how to go. And we also have certain facilitation counters set up at the major airports like Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, etc. to help those people who are coming for medical tourism.
Dr. Naresh Trehan is a world-renowned cardiovascular and cardiothoracic surgeon who has over 48,000 successful open heart surgeries to his credit. After practicing for 20 years in New York, he returned to India.
If you take South Asia, we have Bangladesh, we have Nepal, we have Pakistan, we have Sri Lanka, Maldives, all these places. Progressively, India has moved up the scale to become totally international in some of the institutions. Whereas Bangladesh has some which are mid-level, good care now happening there. Nepal, so is Pakistan, so is. So we are still offering the highest end of care in this whole region, first in the South Asia. Then you look at all of Middle East, you look at Africa, you look at Southeast Asia, and you look at CIS countries. We are the hub for that.
Ayurveda, yoga and other wellness treatments also attracts many foreign patients. Marketing Ayurveda as part of the health tourism has brought a new definition to vacationing in India itself.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. Bhutanese Prime Minister meets Indian counterpart in New Delhi to boost bilateral ties. Pakistan's ousted Premier Nawaz Sharif sentenced to 10 years in prison. And Buddhists mark 83rd birthday of Dalai Lama. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter at @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time next week. Have a great weekend. Good night.